We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater.
Hello and welcome to episode 21 of 10 Years On. I am your host, Jacob London, and I am joined by my co-panelist, Taylor Robinson. How are you?
I'm really good.
That's good.
Yeah, yep. This week is, if you guys have been watching along at home, bravo to you.
Yeah.
Because there's literally only one good thing about either of the movies that we watched this week. So we'll get into that a little later.
Yes,
but
we will.
It's almost not enough to have carried me through this week.
This is going to be an interesting week. We are, of course, talking about the films released on May 28th, 2010. But before we get to those films, allow me to introduce my co-panelists, Nick and Peter. How are yous?
Look, if you do watch these movies along with us at home, just know you have a choice. You're able to say, no, I won't watch this one that they're watching. And if you did... God bless you.
And
God bless you.
I hope that the one good thing is the thing that I think it is.
I believe we're on the same page there.
Because other than that, basically you're going to see this gay get very thirsty and then very angry.
Usually you like to have that in the reverse order.
Right? Yeah. You know,
But,
this time I'm like, nah, can't wait.
And with that, let's begin with our first film. The two films we had releasing on May 28th, 2010 were Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time, and Sex and the City 2.
How's that clusterfuck right there?
So let's move on to our first film, The Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. A young fugitive prince and princess must stop a villain who unknowingly threatens to destroy the world with a special dagger that enables the magic sand inside to reverse time.
I mean, if we're going to talk about a magic dagger,
I was just going to say,
like, can we just appreciate Jake
look at
Gyllenhaal?
those arms.
Look at that arm, look at the vein, look at the pec, look at the hair.
I know.
I
know.
I know we discussed
God.
Fuck Me Adam Driver, but I wouldn't have mind a little side one being like, fuck me Jake Gyllenhaal,
Like,
with your magic sword.
With your magic dagger.
I've got, you know what? You can unleash your sand whenever you want, buddy.
He definitely didn't bring his acting A game to this movie, but he
No.
brought the bicep
brought
A
the
game to this
biceps
movie, so I can
and- There's
There's
appreciate.
some physicality to
You
it.
know what? I actually don't mind this poster.
I
all
kind
that
of like
much.
this poster.
Yeah.
It's
That
like
works.
it sells the sort of.
It feels Disney too.
Yeah.
There definitely
has,
is a Disney feel
has
to
a
it.
Disney feel. It's got some color
I
going
mean,
on.
Gemma Arterton looks like a villain. Like,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
serving some
She looks
face.
great though. Oh my god.
Like, yeah.
She is fire in this
Oh,
movie,
she
by
is
the
great
way.
in
this movie, yeah.
She is banging.
Like,
and that is coming from
she
the guy
brings-
that wants to fuck Jake Gyllenhaal.
She brings all the acting
Must
talent
be
that nobody else decided to
Like,
show up with in this
I know
movie.
I know that Sir Ben Kingsley is like meant to be amazing. I don't think he's great, especially in this. But he does a lot of stuff that I'm like, that is not what Ben Kingsley's career should be. I'm looking at you, Love Guru, and the Thunderbirds movie.
I forgot he was in Love Guru. I forgot he was in
But
Disney
but
first.
before
Anyway.
we move on, I
Anyway.
do think this poster pretty much captures what they wanted to
It
capture.
feels like
This-
It's like the Pirates of the
Yeah.
Caribbean
I don't
vibe.
feel like this is the poster that I'm familiar with for some reason. I feel like there's another one.
'Cause I feel like you'd
think-
probably
yeah.
remember that one.
Yeah, I know, right? How could I like have the amnesia to forget that one?
That's the poster that I think of.
But
And it looks like a video game movie.
a little
Yeah,
bit,
It definitely is giving me video game
But
vibes.
it's definitely not any of the worst that we've
No.
seen as far as posters go.
And I mean,
No,
So-
God, no.
you could get
No.
rid of everything else and keep him, and it
Yeah.
would still be better than
I
half
did,
the shit we look
yeah.
at.
No, I'm seriously, I vote yes for that one. So
My one
Look at his
my
sideburn.
one criticism is just the text is a little boring. Like it's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Like, oh, I wasn't even looking at the text.
There's text on that poster. Peter says.
All right, just
Like-
underneath that, look at that peck.
That's side boob, dude.
Like,
That's Jake
This
Gyllenhaal's
is
side.
especially
this is the thirsty part, by the
oh
way.
yeah,
You don't say.
like especially with the tech, like the text that the video games have
Yeah, that's
look
true.
really cool. Like
Oh,
you
God,
couldn't
yeah.
Like the way that Disney is written is kind of the way you expect Prince of Persia to be
Yeah.
written. Like that kind
Yeah.
of running,
Yeah.
writing.
Yeah.
Ooh, yep.
Yeah.
But
So-
I mean, it's yeah. Let's I guess just jump into this
All
movie.
right.
So this is the first time I had seen this movie.
Right.
Oh, cool.
Because like I bring up to Jacob very often that we do this show, I only chose to go see good movies before I met him,
Yeah.
basically. So I would choose the movies I thought looked actually good, and I would go see those.
And you're
Weird
like-
concept,
and you're like,
right?
Future Taylor's gonna sit through a lot of shit for a boy that she likes, so I'm gonna
Best
save it this
enjoy
time
it
right
now,
now
yeah.
because you'll never get this time back.
So I had never seen it, despite Jake Gyllenhaal. It was not enough. I was like, I can't do this. So I didn't really know what I was getting myself into other than the really horrible reputation that it had. And it's a very long movie, in my opinion. And it's not. It's not actually a very long movie.
Yeah.
But it just drags. It just drags and drags and drags. And I actually think that it has a somewhat interesting intro that I was like, okay, I want to see where this story actually goes because I'm not familiar with the games or like anything that this has to do with at all. And I thought they did a good job of introing the movie. But then it's just like this journey goes on and on and on and on. And the point of the journey that they're actually trying to make just really gets lost
Yeah.
in what they're doing along the way.
Yeah.
It's always going to be just slightly problematic because Jake Gyllenhaal really is not
Persia.
the Persian king that...
Wait.
I know this is going to shock a lot of people. But I'm also not complaining that they just put him in all these ridiculous outfits doing all this ridiculous slow-mo crap
believe it or
Some of the
because
slow-mo
because
is just great.
it's just beautiful.
And there was times he wasn't wearing outfits as well. So
Which,
double win
but
for
also
you guys.
not enough.
Yeah.
not
They
enough, not
covered
often
him
enough.
far too much.
But that if you
Goddamn
guys
Disney.
couldn't tell back in the intro when I said there was one good thing about all of the movies this week, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
This is Jack Gyllenhaal is so beautiful, and it's a shame that he bless you that he had this performance because like I don't like it's a case of I don't think it's like it's not a bad performance. It's just his accent is
Oh.
really
The
jarring,
accent's so-
It's rough.
and it sort of makes
It's
you go.
real rough.
And he's like he's admitted
Oh, yeah.
years down the line he's just like this was a mistake, and you're like it was a mistake.
It's a Disney
But-
paycheck
But
is not a mistake.
It's
Well-
but also this if he was cast now
Controversy.
cancel culture.
Cancel.
well, that I was
Big.
saying that to Jacob as we watched it. I was like, "There's no way you make that decision today.
No.
Like you,
Like he did get a lot of
Oh, I
flack
know
for
he
it,
did even back then,
but
but-
not like the way that we are now.
No.
but today it would just be a huge PR disaster.
Yeah.
Or
Like,
he'd be cast and then he'd like
Drop out.
He'd drop
He'd
out.
have to.
Yeah.
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 And they
The role.
actually and they probably go, let's get maybe someone who's Persian.
Probably.
or at least like kind of looks like they could be.
Yeah.
Or
it's-
like, and let's just not make him like tan.
Well,
Because that's
and,
pretty much the
like-
way that they've done
That's,
it.
yeah.
Like that's how they handled
Also,
Toby Kebbell and
not mad
the
at
the
it.
other brothers. Like that,
Yeah.
it's borderline like blackface. Like
Yeah,
it's
they're severely
borderline.
tanned,
It's you sit there and go, oh, this doesn't look great. I feel really bad. Like watching this movie, it just reminded me, man, Toby
Yeah,
Kebbell.
he's
like
had a,
He's got his
had a-
resurgence.
He's had a rough drought.
Servant, he is really fucking good in Servant, and it's only just taken like this long for him to get a really, really good role that wasn't Cobra.
One thing that I do like about the movie is like Gemma Arterton is
She's so
she's
good.
really good.
Then
And I
their
think
chemistry is
I
really
Yeah.
good.
I think their
chemistry
chemistry is
is great.
fantastic.
Yep.
The banter is like
Oh,
it
yeah,
reminds
back and
me
forth is so
of
good.
like sort of classic caper
Yeah.
screwball romance comedy. Like it's kind of like that Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz
Yeah,
stuff
definitely.
going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely.
Like so I really think those two together make the movie watchable.
It definitely
as watchable as it can be.
Well, right. You definitely at least care about what's going on
Yeah.
between the two of them. Like you
Yeah.
want to see the conclusion of
Yeah.
their story ultimately because they do have really good chemistry. And like I think she's the best in the whole movie. I think
Oh,
she's
and she's
far and away
and
the
she's-
best.
unbelievably stunning.
Oh,
like
God,
it's,
yeah.
it's like unfair.
It's unreal. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
My biggest hang up with this movie is that because it has to basically shove a 6 to 7 hour narrative into 2 hours,
Yeah.
it just goes cliche,
Yeah.
trope, predictability. You can tell from plot beat to plot beat to plot beat going, okay, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. The fact, look, I'm spoiling this, and if you actually think it's a spoiler, you need to watch more movies, and that Ben Kingsley is the bad guy.
Any
in this.
movie
Oh,
Ben
God.
Kingsley's in, he's the bad guy. Just know
Well,
this going into it.
But that's
And
the kind of thing too, where it's like when you start to put him in that role all the time, when he gets cast, it's gonna kind of ruin your story if you're gonna tell a story like this.
Like I think the only movie that's recently done it where they did a good flip, Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
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 Where you realised, oh, he's not really the villain.
yeah.
He's just a bumbling British actor.
Yeah, but that's, and you know, they played on that, but that's what, like, this movie, it just has that moment where you're like, oh, they're really gonna go for, okay, they're actually doing that as a twist.
they're the twist that when they actually pull it, they're like, haha, we got ya, and it's like, no, you didn't.
I will admit, I did think the brother was in on it too.
Toby,
No,
the other
one.
brother,
Yeah,
the other brother who
one.
looks like the bad guy. The
Yeah.
I got confused for a second. I was like,
thought
are these the same
even
person?
if Ben Kingsley's in on it, I did think the brother was in on it.
Somewhat, yeah, okay.
So I was kind of like, oh, he's just,
An
innocent bystander.
That's the thing that really hurts this movie for me, is just, you just rely, because you've decided we're going to tell the first game's story.
Yeah.
And we're just going to narrow it straight down into 2 hours and do cliche moment after cliche moment. Like, this is Clash of the Titans.
Yeah.
Like, we saw this movie 3 months ago in Clash of the Titans, and we didn't really enjoy it then. Like, it was passable then, and now it's like okay, we have to go to this location, and then we have to go to this location.
Imagine if they
and we
just
have to-
recast Sam Worthington with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, give it to me.
That's the movie we want. Because then you'd have Jake Gyllenhaal
in
with
this.
like Rafe Fiennes and
I
everybody
know.
instead of fucking Ben Kingsley.
But I don't know if, once again, I don't know if this is something that they pulled from the actual source material or not. But it actually really annoyed me that both of the other brothers died. Like, it actually, like, when it was like this really cliche moment of them having to kind of sacrifice themselves almost so that the orphan child who's not the blood related one could like live because he's the real. Like, I was actually really annoyed by that. I was like, you're wanting us to be like sad about this moment or feel like something really
with
profound.
no real build up.
And I was like, no, you're finally starting to establish a good brotherly relationship. And we're finally getting to a point where we feel like they have a good connection, and you're just going for the cheap, and now they must die. And I actually sat there and I was like, I really don't like where that story, like, they're just cutting off the story before it goes
Can't
anywhere.
do anything with it,
One actual, apart from Gemma Arterton and Jake Gyllenhaal's aesthetics, one person I really do like in this movie is Alfred Molina.
He's just hamming it up. He's having so much fun.
I think he's having so much
Dude.
fun.
Take that, Disney money.
The ostrich races.
Oh
dude,
my god.
Hell
Like,
yeah.
I love when he's like, how like the ostrich, like when he's walking with the one ostrich who's like distraught.
And he's like, he's on suicide watch. You can't. We have to make sure he doesn't get depressed.
Like, I actually really like
I actually thought that was really
Yeah.
stupidly funny.
Yeah.
Like, I
like,
had way too much fun.
It's
with
one
that.
of those roles that, and like a actor like that would read it and go, okay, I can at least have fun.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can have fun with this because it's stupid. No one's going to take it serious. It's problematic. I'm not gonna lie, like, it's
But yeah,
problematic
like-
as fuck.
But like, how do I have an ostrich race with just one ostrich?
I know. I was like,
like,
it's so
that's the whole
good.
point. It just decides we're just gonna. He is in a different movie,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
completely different movie.
When they
and
go
it's
into that little
fun.
like town that he's like keeping away from the government because of taxes,
Yeah.
that's a whole little world of its own.
Yeah.
That's a whole different movie of its own.
And also like, oh, I don't mind if you guys stay here.
That's
fine.
that's the kind of scene, like that whole atmosphere is where it really reminds me of the Mummy movies, like that, the kind of relationship that they have in that little town.
But and
Feels
but
like
even,
that.
even with that is the Pirates movies. Like that
Yeah.
whole scene
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
just felt Pirates of the Caribbean, which this movie
Yeah.
is so
Trying to
clearly
be.
trying
Trying to set up
to
that
be. Like,
next
we're going to be
Pirates
the next
franchise,
Pirates,
yeah.
and that there worked. but everything else around it just does. Except obviously, their chemistry is fantastic. Like there's clearly a really great chemistry between them two together in this movie that works.
How could you not have chemistry with Jake Gyllenhaal?
Even with a really terrible accent, you'd still just be like,
I can look past that. Like, just
don't talk.
Just open up your robe a bit and give me that. Oh.
He
is so
Paradise.
handsome in this movie. Like, he's handsome in everything, but in this,
oh yeah,
Jesus.
No, I had like the long hair thing
it's
really
so-
helps.
Yeah,
I dig that.
Yeah. Fuck. All right.
Well, that's Prince of Persia.
He's like, can you just stop talking about other men that aren't me?
Now it's our
I don't
turn
actually
to get-
mind that. It's just,
Now it's our turn to get thirsty, Jacob. Woohoo! Four sexy ladies from New York City. Yeah.
What, 3 women and a horse? Oh, that's me.
Hey, come on. She can't help that. I mean, it doesn't help. She acts like one too.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about Sex in the City 2. While wrestling with the pressures of life, love, and work in Manhattan, Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte join Samantha for a trip to Abu Dhabi, where Samantha's ex is filming a new movie.
Wow.
Wait.
Which is like...
Wait a
That's
second.
not why they...
Which is like 2 seconds of the plot.
Wait a second. I definitely never realized that's actually why he was there.
Yeah, it's
Like-
right.
Like they...
See, this is the thing. This is where they go, we expect you to know all of this.
Okay, this poster is not great.
No one...
My friends.
There was no more than one person at a time
No.
at that
No.
photo
Yeah.
shoot that day
Definitely
because
not.
they all hate each other.
Yeah.
There's-
Well, we know that
No,
like Kim
I know.
Cattrall,
Two of them hate each other.
Sarah Jessica Parker and Kim Cattrall hate each other. From what I understand, Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon get along,
Okay.
and I think
I'm just spreading rumors.
I'm pretty
Welcome to
sure
the
Sarah Jessica
internet.
Parker and Kristen Davis get along too.
But
That'd be nice.
guys,
It's just like we get it, Sarah Jessica Parker, you're the star.
You're the Carrie.
It's
So
just
what do we-
it's just photoshopped to death.
Yeah.
Like any of them would be.
There's another poster that is fucking awful, which is
Is it
it's
that one?
just
Oh my
Sarah
God.
It's okay. It's that poster.
But it's just her.
It's just her.
are
And
you
her-
serious?
like a
her
character
face,
poster.
and her face is like they've made it so thin, like it's really overly Easter eggy, like it's
Wide,
really
long
bad.
face.
It's because she's.
I mean, that poster is horrific, by the way, as well.
Both of them are terrible. I think this white one is better because that. Is,
Yeah, that's worse,
That's worse.
definitely.
That's way worse.
But
yeah,
none
That's
of
just
them
glitz
are,
and glam and
Yeah.
and like, oh yeah,
I think
I
that's
mean-
what that movie's trying to be.
I mean, I get this poster really fits the movie they give you. I mean,
Plain boring.
Yeah,
it's vapid and shallow,
and it's just
glitzy.
yeah.
and like we've
So-
got nothing to offer but our
I mean,
wardrobe.
And why? I'm sorry, but like,
Even still questionable.
if she's supposed to be the star, I really fucking hate the dress they put her in.
Yeah.
That is not a flattering.
That's not the only dress I hated her in this movie.
But that's not flattering.
that's-
Kristen Davis has probably got the best dress.
Yeah,
out of all
I
of
think
those.
so.
Like Kristen Davis has the more of a charisma than fucking the other Sarah Jessica Parker does. But anyway,
Anyway,
it's one of the many things that's annoying about this.
how
movie.
are we
Are you
even?
gonna go straight to me? Cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Sure.
let's. I do actually think let's start with Peter
Yeah,
on this one.
let's just
let
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, let loose.
So I really like this movie. So
of course you would.
see, it's that sort of stuff. No, okay.
I'm being the movie, by the way.
So I liked the show. It's one of those shows that you watch back now and you go, there is a lot of issues with the way that they presented certain things, but it was a show that very much was like, it was one of the first shows that really put female friendships ahead of everything else. It was very sex positive. They didn't really do much with like people of color. And they also were like, bisexuality doesn't exist. And you're like, oof, that's not what you want to be talking about. But overall, I thought that like the show did some really good things. The first movie felt kind of just like 3 or 4 episodes put together. It felt more of a continuation of the show. The first movie was like, you know what? This is it. We don't need to see any more from this because Carrie's got married Mr. Big, who all throughout the show was like fucking, are they, aren't they? And eventually like, I don't give a fuck anymore. Samantha was always like the horny one. She had a story arc. She had a story arc where she got cancer and it was actually like really good because it showed her like completely toned down,
Like vulnerable.
Like it was really quite nice to see. And like the people that Miranda and Charlotte end up with are not the people you expect them to. So like the show, their characters sort of went full circle. The first movie was like, okay, with they're getting married, the Carrie and Big are getting married, it's done. You can very much tell with this movie that they had nothing to do. Like there is no storyline here. So they thought, you know what? We'll do what we think every gay man and woman wants, which is not the case. Because I felt like I watched this movie and I was like, I am so offended as a gay man watching this movie. And I know that they think, oh, we're doing the right thing by showing like at a gay wedding, like everything is over the top. And of course we get Liza Minnelli. And of course every gay man is going to be fucking each other.
But they make comment. That's like, they make comments to that. There's like, as if Liza Minnelli wouldn't be at a gay wedding.
Like she just manifests when there's as many gay people together. Like it's like,
Jesus fucking Christ.
go fuck yourself. Like,
Can I just, I just want to mention that fucking Eliza Minnelli scene.
it's far too long.
They sing the whole song.
full
It's the
fucking song.
full 3.5 minute
Full
song.
fucking song.
Yeah.
Like it overstays its welcome after about 30 seconds,
Yeah.
and then
like
it
in any
just
other movie, you get the, oh my God, it's Liza Minnelli, and you get like the first verse and a chorus, and then you sort of fade off to something
Yeah.
else.
Or
And there's
No,
still music
but
in the
this is-
background.
but this
and
is-
something else
But this
happening.
is proof that they had nothing to do, that they were like, let's just film the whole thing.
Yeah.
And instead of being like, we filmed the whole thing, but we cut most of it out, it was like, nah, it's all on the screen.
It's all on the screen for the whole 2.5 hours.
And then we'll keep cutting back to the audience having fun.
Oh, man.
And like, wait a minute, is Kim Cattrall gonna fuck somebody? I think she is because she's horny. We get it.
Before we move past the beginning of the movie, because there's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Can we talk about in the first about 5 minutes how many times they say the phrase "gay wedding"?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Like it's the first gay wedding ever to be put on film.
And it's like the way that Chris Noth, Mr. Big, talks about it. It's kind of like he's almost like, I'm new to this.
Yeah.
Like we're freshly dating, and I'm new to this whole gay thing. I was like, you've been through it for like 20 years, mate. You know that this
it
is what
feels
it
like
is.
they're all just dealing with it for
Yeah.
the first time with the way they say, not just because they say the phrase a lot, but the way that they all say
Yeah.
it is very like.
It's like they've walked into a theme park and they're like, wow, this is what it can be like. Gay weddings. It's like, what the fuck?
And one of the things that I really hate about this is that every like because this movie is like made for the fans.
Was it though?
Yeah, well. Anyway, there's when they go to the registry, or
Yeah.
they go to pick up the rings and whatever.
Yeah.
And they go, "Who's the wedding for?" And they present the invitation,
Yeah.
and it shows the photo of the two men, and it's like this very purposeful, like, we're going to show you this invitation because in all throughout the show and the first movie, they hated each other.
The two characters.
The two characters.
Yeah.
So the way that it's filmed and presented, it was like the reaction, because I saw this in the cinemas, the reaction was like...
It was supposed to be a shock
but
for
the reaction was
audience.
everyone being like, oh, they got together. Like, it was this very purposeful, like, we need to show them that these two guys are together. And it won't the fans love it. Like, everything like that. There are so many scenes and so many lines that are said that are like, this is just to get a fan reaction. And it's like, nah, because we've heard this and seen this all before.
We've gotten this closure in the show in the first movie.
But it really offends me.
But that's the craziest part. It's not even the craziest part. I don't know why I said that, but like, this is written and directed by an openly gay man who has obviously gone, because my what I was thinking about the whole time was like, all the gay jokes that are made early on or throughout the whole movie, I was like, they're all said really by the main four girls. Some throwaway lines from other people here and there, but it's obviously because it's a movie about the main four girls and they have to pretty much be involved in every single scene with every piece of dialogue. So they're spurting out all the jokes and every line about the gay wedding. I feel like the jokes that would have hit probably would have been funnier coming from the mouths of the gay characters. that would make a lot more sense to me watching it because then
Well,
I'd be like,
because,
well, it's
like-
just gay people commenting on
Well,
their culture.
We're also like gay people are very like self-deprecating, and like we have a sense of humor about how
Yeah.
ridiculous people think our lives are. Like we get it. So
wait. That's not what a gay wedding looks like?
I mean,
You don't get Liza Minnelli?
No.
What the fuck?
Right.
This movie lied to me.
I think in Australia we'd probably get like Ricky Lee or something.
Who sings the credits song, by the
Ricky
way?
Lee.
So you're not far off.
But
I had to get that told to me by a partner. I didn't realize that.
no.
Yeah, it's just
Actually,
that's my doctor cop out fact of the.
the song's actually super catchy. I've completely lost my train of thought. I have so many like little things. going
Well,
through my
I
head.
kind of want to talk about something a little more overarching, just
No,
so that we
yeah.
kind of get
we get past
some
the
form of
first
yeah,
15 minutes of the
because
movie.
there's so much you
There's
could
so
unpack
much.
there.
We could be
But-
talking about an hour for this movie.
But the overarching problem that this movie has for me, and you've hit on it a couple of times through your little spiel there, was there's no purpose to this movie. When I first started watching it, I went, okay, so what I'm getting here is maybe the purpose is Carrie and Big figure out maybe they do want kids, because they talk a lot about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, it's just gonna be the two of us. Oh, it's just the two of us
And they
forever.
get asked at the
And you
wedding
think
as well.
that kind of the way they keep hammering on it,
Yeah.
yeah. Like she's gonna get pregnant.
Or,
at the end
and
of
I was
this.
like, okay, maybe this is what they're setting up. And then you get a little bit farther and you're like, okay, I don't really know what's going on. And then you get the storyline with the nanny. And you think that's going to actually
Poor
really go
Alice
somewhere.
Eve. Poor
And
Alice Eve.
fucking Alice Eve needs to, like, I'm so angry for her
Who
about this movie.
had a fucking amazing performance and she's out
I
of my league
know.
earlier in the year already and is literally in this movie reduced to 2 scenes in which she has to just show off her breasts
Yeah.
for the sake of the joke.
Like when she's running up in slow motion, it's just like
It's so obnoxious.
It's so
It's
over
so-
the top. And then when it
I feel
yeah
weird for saying that because
felt-
that's the one draw. Automatically, that should be like, that was my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Probably was because there's nothing else. But you know, like even I was going, this is obnoxious.
and and then when it cuts back to her standing with the guys and she's
Yeah.
like trying to get
Yeah.
and it's like her movements are like, that's not how someone's going to move. You've been told to move like that
Yeah.
to keep the breast bouncing.
The
but it's just this weird
bathtubs-
like
the bathtub scene. It's like the little kid grabs the shower head and she's not wearing the bra and sprays on her shirt and
and then it's
just
like
breasts.
and it's like slow motion.
slow motion, but it's she's awkwardly like back like this, just like, oh, this little child spraying water on me. I was very weirded out by it.
And then like so then when we go into the thinking that okay,
I really don't want that to become a gif.
now that you've said it,
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
Maybe I secretly want it.
And you think that the nanny, that's going to be like, okay, while they're away in Abu Dhabi, which is not Abu Dhabi, by the way. It was filmed in Morocco.
Yeah, because they went, no.
Abu Dhabi was like, this movie is far too sexual. Which is funny. They filmed it on location in somewhere exotic, and it still looks incredibly green screen.
Oh, yeah. Like, the entire movie looks fake. It's hilarious.
Anyway, whole other thing. Yeah, and you think that the storyline is going to be like, oh, she's going to be really worried while the husband's back at home with the nanny. And then it's like the kind of like payoff for them is like, don't worry, the nanny's a lesbian, so therefore no threat. And you're like,
Yeah.
is that like what, like, oh, he couldn't possibly just be a faithful husband? You know? Like,
Yeah, well, but then that kind of brings up the other big problem is when they do bring up a storyline, it immediately gets resolved.
It's straight
and,
away. Straight
And you
Yeah.
don't have anywhere for it to go.
No.
So,
like even when she puts her passport
yeah.
and they focus on it to be like, oh, when I need
Uh-oh.
this. And then it's not until the end of the movie that she's like, I lost my passport. They go back and the guy just gives it to her.
He's
like,
still
I've
got
had
it.
this
He's
the
still
whole
going, and it's
time.
like, okay. And then it's purely just so that way, oh, we'll have a scene where the women all covered up can show that they've got these designer gowns underneath. And then we'll put the 4 white women in the...
in the burgers.
That was
Circus.
so offensive.
Like, that
it's
is
not
super
even.
offensive.
That
Yeah.
was
And like,
ridiculously offensive.
how are we going to catch a cab? We'll lift up the skirt to show a leg. Like it's...
Because it's a callback from the beginning of the movie when they watch that old black and white movie.
But then another thing I was thinking of was like, when they, because she doesn't have a passport and it's probably like
Yeah.
2 or 3 days. And I'm like, she wouldn't have been able to get in anywhere without her
No.
passport. But they go to like that nightclub where they
Yeah.
sing, a whole
Oh
song.
my god, that fucking song said, no.
I actually think I left. I think I went to the bathroom then.
No. It came up and like they got on stage
That's
and I was
right.
like, you better fast forward this. I can't do it.
Oh, you didn't want to watch
No.
a full second song?
No.
No, we
I Am
fast
Woman
forward.
Hymn
That's
Song.
right.
We literally skipped the entire thing because
my
I
God.
went, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
None
That's
of
right.
them can sing at all.
But it's just like, but in any other movie, you'd be like, we'd get maybe, again, a few
Like
lines
a
and
verse
a
and a
chorus.
chorus, yeah.
But this is like the whole thing.
And because they're putting on a fantastic show because it's like, ooh,
Oh,
four
and
American
then
women. And
everyone
everyone's
else
like,
will sing along.
Oh my god, yeah, the people in nightclubs start singing along and they focus on certain women who are like, I am strong. And I'm just like, I've never seen that in real life.
Peter looks so
Yes.
defeated
So,
right now.
It's so offensive. Like,
Yeah.
I know that I say lots of thirsty comments and shit, and you're probably like very stereotypical of you, but I'm like, this movie is like, it's not what we are.
It's
No,
And it's not what
anybody
it's
is.
not what
Like,
anybody
it's just
is.
so
And it's like-
bad.
and for a show that, like, that was building up how strong these friendships are,
It destroys
they're
them
not
all.
friends at
because,
all. Like the way that they act with each
well,
other.
the one that really bothers me, and you're gonna have to help me with this.
Yeah.
Who's the mother?
Charlotte. Yeah.
She gets help from none of them.
No.
And it's not until the very end when
Miranda.
Miranda,
Yeah,
yep,
Miranda.
when Miranda and her have that heart to heart, and that's the only part of the movie where I went, where has this story been?
Yeah.
Why are we not watching this movie?
Yeah.
But you're right. That is the movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Like that's
Because-
the movie should have been Charlotte having issues with being a mother.
Yeah.
Miranda, and then Miranda being the mother of the show. I'm guessing. I've never seen
Well,
the show.
see,
either.
in the show, like, Miranda was always pegged as like the work first, always like the hard one. So when she got pregnant, it was very like, oh, this is going to throw everything out of whack. And then because she ended up like then loving being a mother, whereas all throughout the show, Charlotte was like so desperate to be a mother.
Right.
So she ended up like adopting because her, I think her ex-husband like couldn't have kids and stuff. Like he couldn't, yeah. So it was a case of the two women that you're like, one of them who so desperately wants to be a mother and isn't holding it together, and the one that never wanted to be a mother who's like, I can show you how it's done. And you're like, that is the best relationship. And that scene together is like, it feels so natural.
Yeah.
It feels like what two people who have known each other for 20 plus years would talk about.
Yeah.
Well, and it feels like, without having seen the show or the other movie, it feels like the other two have just been made almost caricatures of themselves.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well,
they,
Samantha, like it just got to the point of like, we get it. You
Yeah.
want to have sex.
Yeah.
You're hot flushing. Oh, there's the
whole
there's
the whole
everywhere.
the
there's
whole
the
thing
Australian rugby
The
team.
Australian rugby team.
the whole thing with her pills drove me
Oh
off
my
the
God.
wall. Like where she's like, oh,
She's
I'm
the
gonna
security,
be yeah,
and
like,
she's
I'm
like,
gonna be 25. It's like, oh my God,
I just
I
wanna-
hate this movie.
I just want to touch on the Australian rugby team real quick.
Don't we all?
Again, Nick. Seriously.
No, look, I'm not. I don't want to play a victim card here, and I'm obviously not taking anything away from the offense this movie definitely causes to people who actually get offended.
Oh wait a minute. Are you, as a straight white man, are
Sexuality,
you
race.
the victim of this movie?
I mean, as a straight white man, I'm a victim of a lot of things. I've played rugby almost my whole life.
Can't tell. There's your gay comment. That's how you do it.
This super serious. This moment where Nick is trying to be super serious and you just broke him. You just absolutely broke him.
Continue.
I wasn't even trying to be super serious. That's the best part. We don't, unfortunately, have those physiques, a lot of us, because we play a game where we get battered in the face and the ears and the body for 80 minutes at a time. So when I saw these
I'm not going to comment.
men in Speedos who are incredibly ripped, who had...
And some good some good packages going.
I was going to comment on that too because I was a little bit offended by that. I feel like it's just a strong misrepresentation of both body types and package sizes that I felt really upset looking at that.
Especially in cold water. I mean,
Not really even. Sorry. I was like, it's just this movie just doesn't hold back. It just wants to hurt everyone. And I felt the brunt of that when they introduced the Australian rugby team at the poolside. And I would just like to take this chance to, if we can just boycott Sex in the City too, with a hashtag on some form of social media.
No more Sex in the City.
No more sex, or maybe like all Australian rugby players, so we can band and unite to, really come together and just make sure we're represented properly in film from now on. If that would be fantastic.
I don't know if that was.
I mean, from my super professional opinion, none of the actual Australian rugby players are that attractive. So I gotta agree with Nick on this on all fronts.
I'm in full agreement. Like their movie,
They look like AFL players.
Yeah, they do.
they are
Boys who don't tackle each other.
a beautiful group of men, and I don't mind the way that the camera lingered on them because you know what, dudes get it all the time with women. So you know what, let's take it back. But at the same time, I hate that it happened in this movie because it's like because it's just perpetuating again that we're just hard of a dick all the time.
Can we just talk about what I think is the worst crime this movie commits? Because we actually haven't mentioned it yet.
Ooh.
It's 139 minutes
It's long. Yeah.
It's 139 minutes.
They don't bring up Abu Dhabi until 50 minutes into the movie. So
That's okay. Yes.
What the
Yes.
fuck?
I literally turned
Wow.
I turned to Jacob and went, why didn't we start right before they're about to go to Abu Dhabi? Like 5 minutes
Because
before.
we wouldn't get a gay
we wouldn't
wedding,
get
you
the
guys.
we wouldn't get the gay wedding.
Oh, yeah.
you guys.
Wait. I think it's a gay
I think
wedding.
it is. I think it might be.
Have you ever
Did they
been to
say
a-
that though?
have you
They
ever
mentioned
been
it
to
was a gay wedding.
Gay wedding before?
I mean, it would have been, if it's a gay wedding, I'm assuming Liza Minnelli would have been there.
Because, Liza Minnelli manifests when there's this many gay men at a gay wedding.
And I think, is it true also that all gay men just want to not be committed in their relationship and just have sex with gay men at gay weddings?
It's very true. When gay men go to gay weddings, they're never with their gay partner.
No,
because
no.
why would there be such a thing
Well, they're
as
hitting on all the
monogamy
other-
in a gay relationship at a gay wedding?
And scene. Now you don't have to watch the movie because you just saw it. That's literally the first 10 minutes of the movie.
That was the first hour of the movie.
And that was
Gay-
way better than the fucking
Yeah.
movie was.
And then Samantha just says she wants to fuck someone, and then that's
And then
that's
she
literally the
fucks
rest of the movie.
someone.
She fucks someone.
Like, can
Actually-
we just also talk about how Carrie is the worst in
Oh.
this movie?
Is-
Like, once again, I can't speak for her character normally, but in this movie, they make her like the biggest possible bitch they can.
And the thing is, it's funny because when the show originally played, everyone was like, Carrie's the best because it's like she always had like the best boyfriends and her wardrobe and the apartment, which also a New York apartment on a freelance journalist salary. Get fucked.
Having two
They have
apartments.
two
They have
apartments.
two
Yeah.
apartments on a freelancer.
And in the show,
She's got a best-selling book.
in
or
the show,
multiple,
she admits.
This movie told me.
Yeah, in the show, she admits she spends like $4,500 like on shoes.
Oh yeah, she buys everyone's shoes.
But it's like, yeah, but they're like $20, so it's fine. But like, she spends all this money on like material stuff. Somehow affords rent, goes out drinking cocktails all the time, which a lot of the time she pays for.
And let's
then
be
it's
real,
also-
cocktails in New York, they're like $30 a drink.
And then also
Jesus.
like
Australia
isn't
or
able-
US?
isn't
US?
able-
US,
fuck.
yeah.
isn't able to get a loan, asks for a loan. Her friends understandably go, no. And she like curses them out.
fuck you guys.
and then later on, everyone who like watches the show in retrospect goes, yeah, Carrie was the worst. And I love that you've watched the movie and just gone, Carrie is the worst.
Well,
Like,
and,
she is.
and like she drove me crazy right from the start too, because I don't understand based on what happens in this movie, why her and Big are even together.
Like-
Based on this movie.
Like, I'm not-
Because
The whole thing.
but if you were to watch this
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
and go,
Which is what I
what
Yeah.
did that do for their relationship?
Yeah.
Like, what was the evolution?
Like,
I was so
there is,
confused by so many aspects.
and like,
of
there
the
is no
relationship.
way that, because they've been together for as long as they have, there is no way that he would go, you know what's going to fix this? A TV. Like,
But like even that, like at least,
I'd try
like
something.
here's the thing. In that moment, I can't. I
Straight
was,
men, right?
But yeah, hey, I'm about to say it. Like in that moment, I was watching it going. At least he fucking thought. Like he remembered a moment. He thought of a moment.
Peter, what did I just say to you?
I said that to my
What did I just say to you?
like,
I said that to my girlfriend. I was like, I don't see what he's doing wrong.
He thought of a moment that they had.
there are two correct people on this panel, and it's us.
I was like, he's watching the movies she wants. He's gone to the premiere, and he just wanted to come and watch TV, and now she's angry. It's like, it's what I do every day.
Okay, no. To be fair, I was like, okay, that's crossing a line a bit there. But I was
He
like,
was watching Deadliest Catch. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
I was just like,
He's so glad that he's not with me.
I just love that we perpetuated the exact stereotype they were thinking.
Well, I got one thing right.
But what annoys me about her in particular when it comes to trying to talk about their relationship is she's always like almost trying to make excuses when she's like, but we always said we were going to do it our own, like do marriage our own way.
Yeah.
But it's like, it never feels like they're really...
It doesn't feel like a marriage.
But
Yeah.
then,
But
but
to
then
do it,
it's
though.
the same thing like when when she talks about how her and Big, like, we're going to take 2 days
Yeah.
apart, and Charlotte, who's like, I don't like,
like,
I don't understand
get
that,
what
like,
you're doing,
you know, which is a fair question.
Yeah.
And how Sarah just Carrie is just like, you don't understand, you don't get it. It was really just like,
To the person who's been married,
who's been
I'm
married,
assuming
like,
longer.
She's married.
Yeah.
Like she's married longer, and you're like, it's perfectly understandable for your friends to be concerned that your husband is like, let's take 2 days off
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
marriage, and
Yeah.
for her, and she's just so like, you don't understand, and I'm like, well, you don't
Which-
understand, but you telling them that isn't helping the situation.
No, and it's very much like, it almost felt to me like they're like, oh, it's a marriage, I guess, but we don't really want to be married because
Yeah.
we're making our own rules, and like maybe we don't want to spend time to get, like, it just felt like a really weird arc that ultimately doesn't actually get resolved.
Yeah.
Like he basically is like, I bought you this ring because now you have to suffer for your consequences
Yeah,
of
like-
cheating.
When he pulled
So
that ring
now-
out at the end,
So now you have to wear this and actually be a married person. I'm like,
he
what
said,
the?
but he literally said that.
Yes.
He's like, now we can act married.
Yeah.
I was like,
And I was like,
married.
this isn't resolving anything, and it just sounds really like control-y, like
Yeah.
very much like, well, now I get to make the rules,
Yeah.
and it's just
because
like, what
they're
the
like,
fuck?
and their relationship is like, it's never been one that's been always faithful. Like Big was like married to someone, and when Carrie got
hooked
with
up with
him,
Carrie.
so it was a case of, this is a pattern for you guys.
is
You
his
shouldn't
name
really be-
actually Mr. Big?
It's his
It's
name is
John something.
It's John something, but
Okay,
they just referred to him as Mr. Big the entire series,
Okay.
just because he was like he was quite
he's
high
a-
up and everything.
yeah, okay.
Which is another thing in the show that I never bought, because it wasn't until like I think it was like the last episode, or where you found out that his name was John, and everyone just referred to him as Big. But I'm like, I found it very hard to believe that like you'd never ask his
what their real name is.
Like,
yeah.
I get calling him Big is like a fun thing between friends, because they'd all be like, how's Mr. Big, blah, blah, blah. But I'd be like, you would, like, and even she was like, I don't know what his name is. And I'm like, that's not,
What?
you'd be like, that's
Yeah.
not a thing you'd ever do.
What the
You would
fuck?
know his name, you know?
What is with this?
I feel
that's
like, but
the
I feel
show.
like even if they wanted to hold that off from the audience until the last episode,
Yeah.
they could have done that without keeping it from the characters.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it
it-
could have been like her just being like, hey, John. And him
Yeah.
turning around. But
Yeah.
it was a case of, it was like really like...
She had no idea.
That's
and you're just
fucking
like,
weird.
Fucking weird.
Like,
Yeah.
I try not to judge things I haven't
No,
actually seen,
yeah,
but
it's-
that's fucking
No,
weird.
it is. It was always the one thing that I'm just like, I know that we don't see the scenes where they're talking, but in like in off camera stuff, they would talk about this.
Oh god, yeah.
They would all gossip about it
Yeah.
until like someone found out something.
Yeah. And like, there's no way that that group of friends wouldn't be like, I'm going to investigate
Yeah.
to find out his
Yeah.
name.
Oh man.
I fucking hated this movie.
Can I just list off some
Yeah.
fucking...
Go-
just go?
Give us your Dr. Cop-Out list.
Oh my god. So she states that BC, the term we use for, judging what time in the universe to be, she says BC stands for before Carrie. And I just wrote fuck me after that. Sound cutting from Samantha having extremely loud sex to a baby crying made me feel very uncomfortable.
I'm not gonna lie. If the story went that way, that's a really great idea. Like, oh, we've got sex in one room, like the representation of our life before marriage, the representation of what our life will be, like after it.
But like I said,
us.
that would have made sense with what it seemed like they were setting up by always mentioning that there's just going to be the two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
and
it goes fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
And that's it's like, okay.
Someone says, that sounds like we're breaking the law, and then Carrie goes, the Jude law, and I wrote, when will this end?
Fair statement.
Yeah. She wears a newspaper dress at one point, and I went, I don't understand that fashion, considering she's a...
That was one of those, like, there's a lot of...
It's not made out of newspaper.
No. There's a
I
lot
don't
of
think.
there's a lot of like fashion in this movie that she wore throughout the show.
Okay.
So it's very much just
Also,
like
a hat she wore in Abu Dhabi was completely ridiculous.
Yeah. But it's meant to be like...
It confused me. I was very confused.
It's meant to be like, hey, like she still wears the stuff that you love in the show.
Oh, please. Someone who spends
take that one off the
$4,500
list.
million on
She's-
shoes would not still have that dress.
No.
I'm telling you right now, there's no way.
Her life is like, it doesn't make sense.
You wouldn't rewear that dress.
No.
No way.
The amount of sheer shock that there's Pringles in Arabic countries, I was very confused by that. Arabic Pringles! I was like, no, it's just Pringles. It's just Pringles written in Arabic.
The other thing that I really hated was how they all have their own individual butler, and how she's like, my butler's gay. Why? His name is, when he said Abdul, he was like Paula Abdul, and I'm like, oh yeah, because that's like...
'Cause that's how you can tell
That's
a gay
nice and
person.
stereotypical. I mean, he does end up being gay. But,
Does he have a gay wedding?
no,
because-
probably not, because it's probably like not allowed over there.
That's unfortunate.
That's very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Yeah.
20 minutes of this movie is just them being shocked by things in Abu Dhabi, and I made the comparison to 1317 to Paris when they're just walking around Italy and like, let's try gelato. And like, wow, gelato. Like, that was 20 minutes of this movie of them just looking at shopping shit. I considered chopping my ears off when they sang. The guy just showing his boner in public is just got a full fucking erection, and he's like, look at me, Arabic couple, I'm offending your culture with my moderate erection.
That sort of nah.
Also, the sound they make when they're doing the shisha is like so
it's like
heavily
really
edited in.
yeah.
It sounds like a bong, to
It's-
be fair.
yeah.
I don't know what it sounds like. And my last one is like, do these ladies think they are gods to these Arabic women?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I watched that and I'm like, do you feel like you're bringing like a white woman fashion revolution to these people?
Because
like,
the funny thing is they're not, when they all the
dress like this
Arabic
too.
women show how fashionable
Because you know what's
they are.
funny? Just like gay people are people too, that this movie fails. Arabic women are people too. It's so weird that there's
like-
this concept that this,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I was
Yeah.
wondering when that
And
was
rugby
going.
people are people too. And we are also misrepresented occasionally.
Oh god.
Are you
I'm being satirical. I'm being satirical before
I feel
someone
like
picks us up as like, Nick thinks white rugby players have the same oppressive issues as gay people and Arabic women. I'm being satirical. For fuck's sake.
So anyway, I watched The Joker.
You know what? I might just watch. No, I had another joke, but
I'm not gonna lie. That's how much she fucking hated this movie.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
That is the only time in my entire existence you will ever hear me say that.
I don't know.
By the way.
That was perfect.
Let's move on to the weekend box office.
Oh, yeah, we got the rest of the show too.
Shrek Forever After made $43 million. Sex and the City 2, $31 million. I hate everything.
But at least it was a very big step down from what the first movie
Yes,
was.
that is also
At
true.
least there are some people that were like, I don't think this is good.
Yeah.
told all their friends, don't go do it.
Don't do it. Ladies, we've been wrong.
Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time made $30 million. Iron Man 2 made $16.4 million. Robin Hood with $10.4 million. Letters to Juliet with $5.8 million. Just Right with $2.15 million. Date Night with $1.8 million. MacGruber with $1.5 million. And How to Train Your Dragon with $1.15 million.
How to Train Your Dragon's still in there. So good.
Dropped off from last week. We have A Nightmare on Elm Street dropped from 8th, and Kites dropped from 10th.
Nightmare on Elm Street didn't last long.
No.
Like, it was like number one, and then...
All right, we have two pieces of sad news. Gary Coleman passes away at age 42, and Dennis Hopper passes away at age 74. That's been 10 years since Dennis Hopper passed away. That's actually pretty crazy.
But I feel like I remember that
Yeah.
news.
Yeah,
I genuinely remember that. Like,
I can remember that
10
and the
years
Gary
ago.
Coleman. I can remember both.
I remember Gary Coleman very vividly.
I remember both.
Gary Coleman would have been a huge
That was a huge
American-
one for an American audience.
Yeah,
that
for
was a
sure.
huge thing.
Yeah.
So I remember that very vividly.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the sad news. Let's get into some more positive ones. Hayden Panettiere and Emma Roberts join Scream 4.
Yeah.
I think Peter, you're a bit excited.
I was
So good.
I was so ecstatic when like it was like Scream 4 is legit happening, and at that point it was like everyone thought, you know, where this is Emma Roberts and Hayden Panettiere will be like the fresh new cast, and they'll continue the new trilogy on. But Hayden Panettiere in that movie is so fucking great.
She's amazing.
So great.
Scream 4 is
Well, I mean, we'll talk about Scream 4 properly in like a year's time.
Yes,
But
April
like
next year.
I have I have so much love for that movie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
All right, and let's move. And lastly, I think in news that excites you, Legendary Pictures purchases the Pacific Rim.
Let's go,
screenplay.
Del Toro. Let's go.
Yeah, so we're
Dude,
in.
Pacific Rim. I have so much to fucking say about that.
Hey,
Let's go, Del Toro.
so we're at the start of that movie's journey, really,
Wow.
because
There's a long journey
it's
for
3
it.
more
Yeah,
years.
I
So
know.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a long
2030.
journey to get there, but we get there in the end,
get there.
guys.
at least it
Yep.
gets there.
Yep.
And then we don't ever get a sequel.
And then we literally, the sequel,
we
just
did, but it's
no, I don't think there was a
No,
sequel.
it's right. It's
Just
like
like
same
The Last
Kick-Ass
Jedi
too.
never got a
Yeah.
sequel. Like
Yeah, like
that
Kick-
also never.
Kick-Ass
Kick-Ass
never got a
didn't get one,
sequel.
so it's just
Yeah.
really sad,
It's just this
actually. You
weird-
know.
Yeah, it was one of those ones that were like, it's the same title, but it's just not the same.
All right, in Australian release dates, we had Street Dance 2, The Losers, and the first movie we watched this year is
Leap Year.
finally out, and that is
No way.
Leap Year. Leap Year on May 27th opened in Australia.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Wow.
So that happened. I think that's
such an
that.
odd little tangent you went
Oh man,
Oh.
I love how that's the first one of these that we're really gonna start. Like that's the first one we've
Yeah.
gone.
Like
Whoa, that's huge.
I was like, we've mentioned that leap years open in Australia, like in my mind, because I was like, we spoke about that so long ago.
It was the first movie we watched this year.
That's
It was,
crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get down to like next year and like when we get to the later part of the year and we start getting Oscar movies really early.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks with Winter's Bone. We didn't get that until like late 2010, whereas in 2011.
Before Jennifer Lawrence was like, you're going to be the biggest movie star in the world.
Yeah, so guys, that's this week's episode of 10 Years On. We got through it. We got through Sex
got
and the City
there.
2.
We got through it.
We actually survived. Next week, we have quite a big week for you guys.
Ooh.
Next week, we have Get Into the Greek, Splice, Killers, and Marmaduke. So if you guys are playing along at home, make sure you check out
Make
those
sure you're
movies.
stocked up in alcohol.
Can't wait for the Marmaduke
Yep.
sequel where he goes to Abu Dhabi. Ooh, yeah.
So that is
Talk
next
about
week.
his other dogs for an hour.
That's
been to
next
a
week
dog
for us.
This is what we happened at a dog wedding.
Oh man! All right, guys. That is
Let's
this week's
wrap up the
episode.
show,
So
guys.
thank you so much
wrap it up.
for checking out this week's episode of 10 Years On. If you want to hear the audio only versions of these episodes, they are down in the description down below. If you also want to follow us all on our social media links, they are also in the description down below. Remember, guys, this weekend we are doing live streams Friday night and Saturday night, so make sure you also come join us for that and let us know your thoughts in the live chat there. Until then, guys, my name is Jacob Blunden, and we will see you next time.
Wow.